What is going on, everybody? Lukey Boy here. In today's video I'm going to be doing a follow-up to the Elysium club that I mentioned in like a post, I think, or maybe a video, forget it. So many videos these days, kind of forget what I do. And I was going to actually record me minting it and showing the process and everything, but actually there was some technical issues with the minting. What was happening is everyone that got the whitelist, when they connected, it was telling them that they could mint different quantities. Like I had 5 mints for whitelist, and to get that I had to get to level 18 in the Discord, which is just the more you chat, you level up with like experience points, and 10 invites, I believe, from other people. And it started off at level 8 with 1 invite or 3 invites or something. I think it was 3 invites. Level 8 for maybe it was just 1 invite. There was different tiers anyway, and so it was like 1 mint, 3 mints, 5 mints, that in that kind of order. I got the top one because I was not sure what to do, and I thought, well, I'll work for the top whitelist, and if I want to mint less, then I can mint less. Obviously, it's always better to have options, yeah. And so I couldn't actually record the video at the time because I was waiting for when I connect my wallet, it kind of was saying different stuff to what I should have had. So I went and raised a ticket in the Discord. Pretty simple, you know. This is, you know, just in case you ever come across this in the future. Open a ticket, explain the situation. You know, put your address to say, you know, what happened and what the address for minting you're going to use. And basically, yeah. So you can see here, I actually paid 0.3. Collab price, I think, is stupid. Like if you promote them, and obviously public prices here, just so you can see. And I actually end up minting the full set. Well, it's not a set if it's 5, is it? But you know what I mean. The full amount, which is 5. And yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but you have to, but in my mind I was like, oh, you know, I was actually crunching the numbers, which is not something I ever really do. But this is more of like a business. And just so you can quickly see what they're doing. Let's go down here. You know, Q1. Here we go. So pretty much from now or within the next kind of month, 6 weeks, we're going to get access to airport lounges in partnership with Priority Pass. So, and I know some of you might already have that with some Amex stuff, but this is just free by holding the NFT. I believe that you get a QR code. They have like a portal that you would log into. You would stake your NFT, which is what a lot of projects do to access their ecosystem. You have the stake, which means take it off the secondary market. You would literally go onto their website and you would connect your wallet and then stake, and these would disappear off OpenSea. And they would be like held at like a central wallet almost, and you would then gain access to everything like a login. It's basically like a login to verify that you have the NFT, and then you would proceed with doing all of your bits and bobs that you need and want to do. So, because actually what I've done is I've broken down the prices of if you pay for these. So with a lot of NFTs, obviously, like, you know, you don't get like a value back right away. Like they may be bringing out like tokens or airdrops, and that could have a speculative value, like an unknown value. Although Desperate 8 Ys are going up now. Bought mine at 0.55 and 0.52, so that's quite nice. That could be another video. And this actually gives you some value pretty much straight away. Like it's still not fully minted. Like it's still in whitelist for today until 7 PM. They extended it because there were technical issues, and then there's going to be the public mint. Now, the interesting thing about this is that most NFT projects need to fully mint out to be successful, because they use those funds to then obviously expand the project and make it better, and then that drives more demand for the project. You know, for example, the NFT HUD thing that I got the other week or the other day, whenever it was, time merges into one. This is a software. They wanted to mint the 3000 at 0.3, I believe it was, and it sold out within seconds on the secondary on the public mint. Now, obviously, we haven't had the public mint yet for this, but looking at it, considering it's 0.6 to mint 1 at public mint, it's going to obviously be slow. And then, you know, at the beginning, I was like, well, you know, is that good? Like, do you want to be doing that? Like, I get it, because it's more expensive. You might not be able to mint right. A lot of people might not be able to do it right away. They might want to save some money up. Maybe it's too expensive, and they're going to just ignore it right off the bat. And I was thinking, you know, for the project long term, is that good? Is that sustainable? If they only mint half, let's say they got 6,880. Let's say they mint 3,000. in total. Let's just make some, let's just say sort of say 3,000, because if you look, do you think the whitelist is about 1,480 max, 930 been minted? Pretty much the floor price is what I paid for, which is fine, because obviously that's like my security. What I mean by that is like, because I got in at half the price of public mint, I've got that protection that if I want to sell, I can at least get out pretty much break even. And obviously, if you're going to get into this, you probably get in now. There's not actually a lot of them at that price, because obviously with this you want 33 for sale out of 927, and you can see within a handful it's already up, up here. Yeah, so yeah, it is that low, but it doesn't take, once they start releasing some of these, because no one can actually go and log in and book anything right now, that will take a little bit of time. So of course right now there's no value, I guess, this direct mint, but as soon as they start releasing things and people start using the stuff which has a value which you would pay for, obviously that is then going to factor into the price. And the more that they bring out, the more that, Q2 and stuff like that, Q3, the more that it's going to have, what's the word, like maintained value, whatever it is, because you actually you're saving money by not doing it. So for example, you get this, I actually looked and I double checked, and you basically get like unlimited airport lounges, no cost. Because if you go on here, there's like, if you actually go and visit, even if you sign up, you have to still pay money. I know it's in euros, it's a bit annoying. Again here, but it's basically as close to this as possible. Apparently it's not this, it's like a custom. But that's to say that we're using this as a figure. That's £360 a year, and you basically get free access. And there is a guest, but because I have more than one, I can just put my guest on my +1. So that's why I wanted more than one, because yeah, you could go away by yourself and do stuff, but normally it's not always by yourself. So obviously the more you've got, the more that you can spread it across other people. Not that I'll do that, maybe I will sell some at some point, I don't know, but like for now, with the protection of the half price pre-sale and various other factors. And again, I was watching the mint, looking how many people were minting and stuff like that. The gas was quite high, and it's I'm not sure what it is right now, but it was high for a while, and people have until 7 p.m. tonight, Lithuanian time, but yeah, like 5 p.m. UK time, to mint their whitelist, and I think there's another about 500 left. Not that it's going to be guaranteed that everyone's going to mint, because just like me, I got in at whatever level I wanted, with the unknown factor of how many will I actually mint on the day. And I did go and do the 5. The reason I actually did the 5 is because I looked at the value of some of the basic stuff, not even looking at all the complex stuff here. I looked at the value of this. I didn't even look at the value of booking an apartment for free. So every NFT you hold, you get 2 nights per quarter at one of these locations, 4 locations, but they're actually going to I think they're going to get like 28 locations over time. Oh, that's just my light flickering, I don't know if you can see it. It's only because they start off, most projects will start off with their kind of plan, and it expands over time, just like a lot of other projects a year later don't look the same as they looked at launch. This private jet thing I've ignored, because you only get it if you get a legendary or super rare NFT. So obviously, because private jet, you're not going to have 6,888 people flying private in a private jet, for like that would just bankrupt them, kind of thing. And I'll move on to that in a second about business sense. Ignored a lot of these. In Q2 you get 1 free commercial flight for all holders per quarter. So that'd be like me going from Lithuania to the UK, and that's a return flight. So I just literally, and I can go to Europe. It's basically like continent. So I can't go to America. They are going to later on expand that if the project momentum continues to do well. If it doesn't, obviously it'll be slower growth, but I'm going to go off the quite simple and basic stuff here. I'm literally going to only really include this and one other thing. Ignore like free luxury car rentals and stuff, because surprise giveaways, like the value is unknown, and there's less information about when that's actually going to be launched. There is going to be like stuff like you get I don't actually know the full details of a lot of the other stuff, so that's why I've ignored them in this video, because I want to kind of get the simple stuff out of the way. But that's to say, it's 150 quid return to the UK with a bag, with like Ryanair, Ryanair return, and add was it 38 quid for like a second bag or something. And I'm sure they're not going to be just, I think it's like any airline, and that's like within Europe, for example. But again, like I'm going to go with the real simple and cheapest option almost, because yes, you could probably find it cheaper than 150 quid. I'm just talking about, you know, without really going into the dates and like you can find them for like 30 quid, can't you? But I'm kind of like broadening it out to a horizon of not being super cheap and looking for the very cheapest over like 1 month period. You know, if you want to fly, like basically flying the days that you want and not having to worry, like on an average. So I've just put like 150 quid, so that's 600 quid. So anyway, the last thing I've added, ignore all this, even though you can see, you know, bookings, private jets, so ignore that. Metaverse stuff, cool, who cares right now. Private island holidays for holders and companions, you know, I got no idea about the details for that. Ignore. Some raffles, fine, I might win one every 5 years. Okay, cool, no one cares about that. Booking a future lot experience, no idea. No idea. And they do say there's no extra fees or costs involved, meaning they're not going to go, oh, you can book this, but you got to pay $1,000. We'll cover the rest or anything like that. But because I don't know any more information, ignoring it. Yeah, we're kind of keeping it pretty simple here. And the only other thing is a free high-tech VR headset for all holders. You know, I don't know what that would mean. It's not expensive really, is it? But you know, let's say I put 400 quid. You know, that you could say is more of a unknown value, but I've kind of like gone pretty cheap on some of these like the flights. You know, I'm definitely sure you could find return flights for 250 quid to somewhere nice within that continent, whatever continent you're actually on, or 200. So I kind of, because you get one of these per quarter, so that's four flights per year per NFT return. And so like, yeah, if you're trying to go somewhere nice in the summer, or maybe you want to fly at Christmas time and it's more expensive, I kind of really went cheap on that. So I have put 400 quid for this, but you know, it could be 200 quid. But that works out, you know, at £400 video VR headset. But you could do your own calculations and just minus. You can even get rid of that if you want. 360 for the yearly airport lounge and £600 for flights. Now I've only used 1 year, so I've literally used 1 year of value, because obviously next year you're still going to have that value. But the only reason I'm doing that is because in the event that this was a not successful project, what time frame could I see it being okay and surviving for in terms of funds? You know, like worst case scenario, I say a year. Yeah. And so that's why I purposely kind of stripped it all back to basics. And my actual calculations was it's worth like 960 quid. All I've done is added the priority pass. Now, yes, you might not use it that much, but if you're getting the flights for free, then you probably would use the priority pass. So I'm kind of trying to mix and match, and you can go ahead and say, well, you could probably pick holes in this video, but I don't, you know, if I get there late, I couldn't go here. So I wouldn't use that, and I would never pay £399 or 360 quid a year for this anyway, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you could, of course. But I'm just trying to roughly kind of, you know, do the best I can with trying to create a value attributed to it. So, you know, basically 0.5. So if we try to figure out what 0.3 is, which is what I think I paid 0.35. So actually, really, to break even on my NFT purchase, I have to basically get value of that. And that's basically the flights, isn't it? I don't know, 624 divided by 4. 156 quid, yeah. So actually, if I just use those flights, like I'm going away 3 times this year, and like, you know, and I can use, well, I've already paid for the flights, but in hindsight, you know, I'll go away more, because we probably would go away more anyway, because I got one with the boys, you know, the lads, 2 with the girlfriend, one like later on this year, right at the end of the year, and then 1 March. But you know, there's plenty of other places that you want to go if you could get it cheaper. Like if you can go for a long weekend somewhere, and all you got to do is pay for the Airbnb, everything out, you know, it's half the price or whatever. Get something for 50 quid, can't you, a night? Go for 3 nights. And so I just kind of roughly did that, and I was like, okay, cool. So, you know, and that's over a year, and let's say that it lasts 2 years. You know, you could start expanding that horizon. But obviously, in my mind, I'd be like, well, what if they don't mint out? Isn't that a massive, you know, I was going back to this, isn't that a massive issue? Because if projects don't mint out, then people aren't that interested because they think, oh, why is it not minting out? And then what about the money that they're generating? You know, let's just have a look at this. 930 times 0.3. They've got 279 ETH so far. 207. They've got $500,000, right? As of right now, of course, it's going to be far greater than that once in like a week. And we can always, you know, you can always go and do your own little looks and checks. They got that much money right now. You know, you might be like, well, that's not a lot. Or even if it's 2 million, that's still not a lot. You can burn through cash quick, you know, because you can. But the interesting thing about this project, and you really have to spend a long time delving in, the project. I've watched a couple of hours worth of Ask Me Anythings where people just ask questions and they answer. Like white paper, there's really a lot that you could research, as much as you think that it's quite easy, checking the Twitter and interest. There's lots of deeper things that you can research to get to iron out your thought process a lot more rationally. But they already run a business alongside this. And I'd like to know where the future would go with that. So what happens is they have, for example, the apartments. People own these apartments. Same with the private jets. Anything that's super luxury, like high end, people own these, but usually they don't stay in them all the time. They might only stay in it like a month, a year, or they might only use a jet once a month for business, for example. It could be a business jet, or it could be I don't know, whatever the thing is. And so obviously they're not maximizing their return because it's usually just sitting there, which has got then depreciation costs on the asset. They've got the monthly maintenance to maintain and rent obviously for the hangar and various things like that. So there's still an expense every month even if they don't use it. And so the company behind the Elysium Club NFT is actually, and the people behind the team behind it are already well connected in that space due to previous business experiences and employments. They actually are almost like subletting or subleasing, I guess it's them, based on the availability. So they basically have, let's say that I owned a jet and I'm like, well, it's 3 weeks of the month, it's basically sitting there. If I could actually cover the expenses per month for the maintenance of the vehicle, the rent of the hangar, I don't even know what other costs they might have. Probably tons, because these days it's like a gazillion costs for walking down the street or whatever, but they're going to cover those costs. So as long as everything's in good condition, or maybe they're going to make a small profit on top, because obviously depreciation, you have to work out the depreciation of the vehicle. Obviously you can do miles, so you can work that out. I mean, that's something they've done behind the scenes, I suspect. And they are then renting, let's say they get 3 weeks out of that month, they're then actually leasing or renting, or however you want to say it, to actual business customers. So there's websites where you can go and you can book a jet, or like an Airbnb almost, but then they're going and taking some of those spots, giving it to the NFT holders, but they're also then leasing out or renting out, or whatever you want to call it, depending on what asset it is, to real world people who are then paying, and they're getting income, which is then also getting pushed back into I wouldn't say into the NFT, because it's bigger than just the NFT. There's a business and they have an NFT section within it to build a community, to build loyalty, to, like a modern day business. It's got an ecosystem of income, incorporating it, generating revenue, which just like any business, the better it does, the more it can take on more properties, more jets, more X, more Y. Of course, it could do the opposite and it could go bust. So that's why I was being cautious with the yearly estimate, because a year is not a long time. In some aspects it can be. In terms of general business, it's not huge. Definitely because they already have paying customers, so it's not like a brand new business. And then this is also then a subset. So I don't want to go into too much more detail and spend ages going into that. If you want to look into it more, you can of course go into Elysium Club NFT and look and research if you want. But then the interesting other aspect to it is that I was talking about, what if it doesn't mint out? Well, that then leads to the business. It doesn't matter if it doesn't mint out, because they're not relying solely on the income of the mint to generate future project value, because they already have a business behind the scenes. This is like an addition. So it's like, imagine if you want to Airbnb it. You want to Airbnb your property, and you get, it's not going to get rented out the whole month, is it? Definitely through a year on average, it's not. Peak time, sure, it might get taken, but then you could be like, how do I then fill in those gaps? Well, if I create an NFT and I sell it for $500 a pop, and I have 5 properties around the world or whatever, then those people can get free accommodation in my Airbnbs. So that's probably a simple way to do it. And it only costs you like €300 because it's only have 5, but it just means you get free. And you get obviously you'd have to. So what happens is you get 2 nights in the apartments per quarter. Because I have 5, I'd actually get 10 nights. But then obviously you'd have to go on and book the slots, so that obviously everyone has fair game, because obviously you're not going to have unlimited and then no one else can book. So it's going to have to be fair distribution, so that everyone actually has a fair chance of getting the days they want. But if you're going to probably go away a couple of times a year, let's say you want to go long weekends, and it was in the right places and you like them, then you could go ahead and you paid $300, but you're going to cover those costs by maximizing the free nights in the properties. So they're getting the income from a proportion of the time over a month, let's say, and then the remainder is getting distributed to us. And me as a property holder, or whatever you want to call it, is getting income now from this. And I can obviously then I could do other things later. I can make it better if I was making good money. You can make profit from it, because if I'm just having that property sort of sit there, I'm paying the rent or the mortgage, or probably with the mortgage, or it's paid off, but there's no value being generated. So I'm getting money from an NFT launch where there wasn't any before. So I'm getting value. People that actually will utilize this, maximize this, will get value. If people don't ever use it, of course they're not going to get any value. And you could say, once it gets better and better and better, and if the project does take off, of course the floor value could rise. So there's another option there. But right now it's hard to judge. All I can judge it by is the value of what I will use over a year, and then that justified my decision to decide if I was going to mint a relative, not important. Basically saying I didn't care what the floor price was or the minting, because of the business for the minting behind the scenes. So it doesn't matter. They don't need this money to generate, and also the floor price doesn't matter because I'm going to get my costs back within a year, for example. So even if this went to zero, in theory, it would be break even after a year. That's how I was trying to work it out in my head. Or if there's some value, if the floor price was 0.2, I could use the year and sell them and I made profit. That's how I like to kind of do things. I kind of like quantify and break it all down and build it back up in my head. And then that leads me to the final bit, which I'll kind of half touch on. But the reason that it's not important if they mint the full 6,800 and whatever it was, wherever that thing is because they don't need the cash. So if they mint 3,000, that's still fine. And then what that actually allows for the holders is that there's less, I say competition, but there's less, it's going to be a better user experience for the current holders, because if there's 6,888 people that want to get some apartments or want to book an apartment, obviously there's going to be less available slots. Like if I left it and I was like, oh, I want a slot for next week, it's not going to be there, is it? Someone's already going to have got that slot. And of course, as they progress as a business, they will open, like I said, they're going to take on more apartments. And I'll actually show you like quickly what these apartments look like, just so you can see like the level quality. And you can go ahead and actually like look and see that these are actually legitimate. They're not just a video from like YouTube. They've just copy and pasted. You can actually go and look at the business and all the kind of proof in the pudding or whatever. This isn't actually the best one. Like this is sort of semi good. This is the Miami one. This looks pretty sick. And if I could get 10, I got 5 NFTs, 10 nights here in Miami with, okay, I can't get the flights, but I got, at the moment, half of it covered. And at some point, if they bring out intercontinental flights, then it's just all bonuses from here. And that's not including like a hell of a lot of the extras that I mentioned that they will be bringing out, but I just can't put a value on that. It's unknown. And so like, this is almost like bare bones that I'm going in, and it's breaking even in a year. Now, of course, like, I need to monitor it. I can't just go, yeah, cool, leave it, and forget it and book everything. Obviously, I'll be monitoring it, trying to get involved. This free luxury car stuff, some giveaways. This stuff, interesting, exclusive get together for holders of the Caribbean Resort. That'd be interesting to see what happens. The costs involved and various things. Private island holidays for holders and companions. Interesting. See how the logistics and everything will work for all that. In real life parties and meetups and networking. That's always something I like, and like I could use the free flights because they're going to do ones in Europe, Asia, and America, the Americans or whatever they call it. And so like I could use my free flights for that. If they're going to do it in Europe, I can just fly somewhere there. And obviously, like with most projects, it's going to expand over time. So by this is kind of like a completely different mind fuck almost for me, because everything I'm looking at is almost uncorrelated to how a normal NFT project would be launching. And hey, I don't, do your own due diligence and don't just go and buy stuff. But, I'd be interested to see if my thought process is correct as well over time. Because again, I like to challenge myself and learn. So I want to see how good or bad my understanding of things are, and hopefully it's been pretty easy to explain to you in this video where I've got my thoughts from. So, maybe have some, go away and have a think yourself and see if you think I'm right or wrong. And yeah, like I guess that's just part of the fun, I guess, in an NFT space. But, if I maximize my return, like most NFTs don't give you any real world value. They might have some like digital value that you could sell for profit and stuff, but
this actually gives me something I can tangibly have that isn't money as such. Yes, you would, in theory, you wouldn't spend that and you would use it, and but I think it's just a really interesting project that I'm really sort of intrigued to see where it goes in the future. So I'm going to leave the video there. Any questions or any links or anything you want to ask me, or maybe you just think I'm a complete idiot and I'm wrong, which is cool, then let me know, because I might be wrong. But I just like to put my thoughts out there and see what happens, because there's no point people saying you're wrong or right until it happens. Ultimately, it's a bit of a waste of energy. So anyway, have a good day, everyone. Questions and all that, let me know below, or comment or message, and I'll see you all on the next video.